Okay, so again, welcome everyone. I am now going to turn it over to Aaliyah, who will kind of go over some of the next steps for you guys in terms of things that you might need to do in regards to your enrollment checklist. Um, and more importantly, some parts about advising and registering for your courses. And again, I'll answer any questions in the chat throughout the way if need be, but we'll leave some time for you all to verbally ask questions too toward the end. All right.
Great, thank you, Craig.
You're welcome.
So, hi everybody. Welcome to St. Mary's. We are so excited that you're joining us. We prepare for many months, and today is the kickoff day, so it feels a little bit like opening night for us. We've been trying to get a lot of things set up for you, and Craig and his office and my office. It's a lot of offices on campus that coordinate. And so it's really exciting to sort of kick things off in onboarding season, and to welcome you all to your college experience. I think this class, probably in a special way, we're even more excited for, and I think probably you're even more excited because the fall promises to be kind of a new start. We're all a little bit zoomed out. So the idea that we get to meet you in person this summer at orientation for the weekend of welcome, that students will be living back on campus, that we'll see you in the classrooms, and be able to have our sort of traditional events, our barbecues, and all of the things out on the campus. It's just, it seems like kind of this surreal new world that we're all very, very eager to rejoin. So I hope you're as excited as we are. So I'm here today. My name is Aaliyah Soni. I'm a professor in the history department, and I'm also the director of academic advising. You'll maybe see the acronym quite a bit, TAO, T-A-O, that stands for the advising office. So in the advising office is me, who primarily works with first year students and the first year advising cohorts and the first year advisors. We also have we're in the midst of recruiting a new team of peer mentors from various parts of the college, various majors and minors and extracurricular programs to lend you extra peer support. I'm also working with Dr. Jeff Sigmund, who's professor of chemistry and the associate director of the advising office. He works with Craig primarily with the transfer students. So you'll see a little bit less of him and hear sort of more from me. So that's why I'm with you today. But we have a team in our office who works with students and advisors directly. We also do the new student onboarding over the course of the summer. And this is the part that you're probably most interested in today, because you probably all got an email from me yesterday or today telling you about this session and about something called the PEQ. And the PEQ stands for Pre-Enrollment Questionnaire. And if you look at this, I hope you thought like, oh, this is great. It's kind of like a personality quiz. Some of you probably felt a little bit more nervous or anxious, like, why are they asking me all these questions? What are they going to do with this information? I think it's a little bit naturally anxiety producing to think that strangers are going to pick your course schedule for you in the fall. So I just want to spend some time talking you through the pre-enrollment questionnaire and to reassure you. The way that I think about it is it's kind of like a concierge service, right? We read your PEQs very carefully. We really try to listen and get a sense of who you are and what your goals are. And then we create kind of this custom package for your fall start to college that sort of aligns with your interests, helps you move towards your goals, and takes some of that guesswork out of knowing what the right class is, what the right kind of like schedule balance is, right? My team is very experienced. They're all professors in different parts of the college, in the different schools. They have been helping students with advising for a long time. They're all current advisors. They all know the core curriculum and the majors and minors really well. So this is really a strong team that works together to make sure that all the students get schedules that really are giving them a solid start to their college experience, rather than having the kind of frantic, right? Whoever logs in last gets whatever is left over, and the first person takes all of the courses that are right, like at the good times of day, and then somebody else at the end has like 8 a.m. courses and 8 p.m. courses, right? Like that's kind of a bummer of a deal. So we ask for your patience and your trust in the process, and also try to reassure you that nothing is permanent, nothing is set in stone. If you get your preliminary schedule and you hate it, you will see us at orientation, and you will see us at the weekend of welcome. And you will have an assigned first-year advisor that works just with you, 15 students of similar interests who will also be at the weekend of welcome. And at any of those points, we can make changes to your schedule. Okay? So nothing is, irretrievable. The other thing that I will just say about the timeline, so we're getting kicked off today. If you finish your PEQ and your slate checklist, then on May 24th, we will start enrolling students in classes. And so if your checklist is complete and we have the information we need, you'll get a preliminary schedule by June 4th. Okay, so then that gives you some time to think about it, look up the courses in the catalog, find out more about them, right? Find out more about the programs. Then in July, between July 19th and July 30th, we will enroll any students who complete their checklist after May 24th. We will also update schedules when things like AP test scores come in. AP test scores come in mid-July. So some of you might have a preliminary schedule, and then you'll have test scores that actually, right, like place you at a higher level or give you credit for a course that you were going to take. And so we'll make all those updates as well in July. So the date that you want to think about for when you can kind of think, okay, I'm going to buy my books, I know what I'm taking, is August 1st. Okay? On August 1st, your schedule will not move around at all anymore. Orientation is in June, so that's kind of between our two enrollment periods. So again, you'll have an opportunity to meet with advisors who will talk over your schedule, answer any questions, help you make changes if you would like. So it's kind of an iterative process, right? Nothing is set in stone. We'll be in contact with you a lot over the course of the summer to make sure that everybody gets what they need and feels prepared to start the fall. Okay, so some of you may have seen this, but I'm going to share my screen. And for those of you who haven't seen it, here's your slate screen with the checklist. This is a test student. And so you'll see here, it says, take the pre-enrollment questionnaire as soon as possible. It's not a race, right? If you do it today or you do it, 2 weeks from now, it's fine. I think it's a nice thing to get out of the way, but if there's questions that you want to ponder a little bit, you don't have to do it right away, right? You can read about some of the programs or ask questions first as well. No. Oh, I didn't do this. So Craig, do I have to log in with, or it just showed it to me?
This login site thing is just really annoying sometimes. I just prefer trying to use my old links that I got from emails to skip this entire process, since I hate logging in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leo, that
I did it before and it just opened the PEQ. Now it's asking me to log in.
that's interesting. Let's see.
Let's see. Okay, let me try it again here. Sorry.
Under that student, did you go to the status page? And then under the checklist tab.
Yep. I mean, that's how I got there, and it seemed like it maybe timed me out or something.
Status page. I can bring it up if need be.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I will share my screen. Everyone see that?
Perfect.
Great.
All right.
And then if you need me to scroll, just let me know.
Great. Okay, so this is the pre-enrollment questionnaire. And again, right, like there are no gotcha questions, right? Just kind of reflect. We just want to kind of get to know you. And so the first part is really about your experience, right? Like what things kind of resonated with you, what things really evoked your intellectual curiosity. When you're talking about your favorite classes, we want to know about the substance of the class, not necessarily like which class your friends were in or which class you like the teacher in, but like which classes had things that you read that you're like, wow, right? Like I'm thinking about the world in a new way, or I really like to problem solve, or I really love to do math problems, right? Whatever it is that just kind of felt like that was your that was either your comfort zone, or that was where you felt really challenged, right, and excited. Whatever it is, just tell us. And that doesn't mean that like your favorite class in 9th grade is going to be your college major. That's not how we use this, but it helps to get us warmed up and to get to know you a little bit as a person. The same thing, if you scroll down a little bit, is like about outside of school, right? Again, just trying to get a sense of you as a person. The next question is about things you care about. And this might seem like it's sort of arbitrary, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the St. Mary's academic experience. So, I mean, when we think about going to college, we think primarily about our majors, even if we don't know what that is yet, right? You sort of identify colleges. Okay, I'm going to college and I'm going to become a doctor, or I'm going to become a lawyer, or I want to be a teacher. We have kind of that sort of sensibility, and everybody gets there, right? But we also have this amazing thing called the St. Mary's Core Curriculum. And the St. Mary's Core Curriculum really is an experience in the breadth of the liberal arts. It's an experience for our signature programs like Jan Term and Seminar. And it's where we really sort of learn and share our values, right? Our Lassallean values, our commitments to social justice, to intellectual traditions. And so there are a lot of things in the core curriculum that won't align with your particular major choice. And for some people that can feel onerous, right? That's a burden, a checklist of things that I have to do. But the liberal arts mindset says like, that's a privilege. You're here for 4 years and you get to do all of these things just for the sake of learning, right? Just for the sake of learning about yourself, about the world, about things that you care about things that you like to watch movies about, or play video games about, or read about on the internet. So not everything that you do in your St. Mary's education has to be a sort of one-for-one transactional experience that moves you towards a particular skill set or a particular degree, right? So even though these are requirements, you have a lot of freedom to shape and decide and explore within those requirements in a way that is really authentic to who you are and who you're going to become. So all of these questions help us to get you started on that journey in a way that will really resonate with you, even if it's opportunities you might not have thought of yourself. So if we scroll down a little bit further to section 3, to the academic interests, this is where we get more into what you might be exploring as majors or minors or pre-professional career pathways. And the first question is probably the most important question because, right, like we can all pick, top 3 fields that we're interested in, but for some of us that might change next week or that might change tomorrow, right? We're not sure, and you don't have to be sure. One of the great things about college and about having something like the core curriculum is that you can just explore things because you can find out like, no, actually, I really hate that, right? It sounded really cool to be a therapist, but it turns out I really hate psychology, right? That's fine, right? But it helps us to understand with these first check boxes, right? If you've always wanted to do something since you're 3 years old and you're like really, really unlikely to change your mind, that is a different set of needs and interests than if you're like, I don't know, I'm gonna figure it out when I'm in college. I like a lot of things, right? I just can't commit, right? Like checking, I'm really unclear about my academic or career interests is 100% okay. It actually probably makes for a less stressful first year of college, and you might actually have fun just kind of being open to whatever possibilities present them. That said, we do want to have some sense of what you're thinking about, even if it changes tomorrow or next month. And so if you look at these drop-down menus, all of our majors are listed there. And this might be the kind of thing that you scroll through and you're like, I don't know what that word means. I've never heard of that major, right? And in that case, right, you can click on that little blue link there that says academic majors and minors and read a bit more about them. Okay? You might be like, oh, I didn't know that that was a thing, but that program actually, really combines my interests in a way that I didn't know you could. A good example of this is a lot of the interdisciplinary programs. Like you really want to study abroad, right? You really love the idea of like global thinking and global perspective, but you also want to be politically active, and you also like math and thinking about like economics and things like that, right? So you might find that global and regional studies is really cool because you do some economics, you do some global thinking, you take anthropology and history and politics. And so it's like one major that might combine like a whole bunch of your interests. So I really encourage you to explore through some of those majors and read a little bit more about them in the catalog because they might really appeal to you in ways that you weren't expecting. So this next question below the reflection box can be a little bit tricky because these are a little bit of terms of art, right? So double major might be fairly straightforward, right? You have 2 majors and you complete all the requirements of both majors and you graduate with 2 majors. A split major is something you maybe haven't heard about. A split major is when you combine 2 majors, and not in a way like global and regional studies where it's an existing major, but you might decide like, I want to combine business and art, right? We don't have an existing business art program, but it's a customizable major where you do all of the intro courses for both majors and then a individualized selection of more advanced courses from the 2 majors. But the total number of credits is equal to 1 major, not 2 majors, right? So if either of those options are interesting to you, you don't have to commit, but you just want more information, you want to kind of try out some of both, let us know that. If not, you're just like, I know what I want to do. This is major, right? Or I know that I don't want to like try to do all these different things. I just want to like stay in one program. Wherever you're at, just let us know. Right, can you scroll down? Okay. And then finally, there are some activities that are not, they don't put you in a particular category, but there might be things that you're thinking about that aren't majors, right? One of them is minors, certificates. If you want to go into engineering, media, health science professions, things that aren't their own majors like nursing or physical therapy or being a physician's assistant, museum studies and public history, right? If you want to work sort of in public institutions. So there's a lot of things here that you might be interested or thinking about that aren't in the drop-down major categories. And if that's the case, please tell us about them, right? And then finally in this category is study abroad. So you don't have to know if you want to study abroad or not right now, but if you already know that you do, it can be helpful for us to think about how you might plan out your 4-year schedule and some of those core courses that everybody kind of does when they study abroad, right? Like you go someplace and you learn about the art of a place, right? Or the culture of a place. So if you already know that, let us know. If you don't know, totally fine, right? So I can already see popping up in the chat, there's questions about placement. So that's the next section. This is getting more into like the nuts and bolts of this. So we know that it's really common these days for students to have already taken some college level coursework before they start at their college institution. And so if that's the case, let us know that just so that we can do a double check and make sure that we have the records of your college level credits. Actually, Craig does that. So if you have any of that, he will be the one who personally makes sure that you get credits for the coursework that you did before you came to St. Mary's.
And I was actually going to give a blurb on that when you're done.
Okay, do you want to do it now?
Yeah, so I just wanted to emphasize it's, as I mentioned, I work with our incoming transfer students, but I'm connected to this process that Aaliyah is speaking about. So one of the things I'll say is I can't elaborate more. If you have taken AB or AP or IB tests, make sure that documentation is sent to us. And it helps Aaliyah and the other faculty advisors do the work so that they don't place you in courses that you've already earned credit for. So be sure, I know that we, as Aaliyah had mentioned, the College Board does send us a very large file of AP scores, but we also get them intermittently throughout the school year. So always just double check that you've ordered your AP scores from either College Board to be sent to St. Mary's College or IB if you've done that. And as Aaliyah mentioned, if you have taken any coursework from a college, get those official transcripts from that college and have them sent to St. Mary's as soon as you can, or if you're so that we can add that coursework onto the system so that it might alleviate any courses that you are exempt from, let's say. I would also say the same if anyone's planning to take, sometimes students plan to take a summer course this summer, maybe before you come in. We might not have your transcripts by the time that you're placed in your classes, but you can put that information on the PEQ so that an advisor might be aware that you possibly could be taking something.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I had an email about that too. So when you're answering this and it says, it kind of makes it sound like it's in the past tense. If you're taking something this summer, answer it as though you've taken it, right? Because this is just our checklist to make sure that we have the paperwork. I'm really big on being proactive and building redundancy in the system because that's way better than missing something. So Craig needs your transcripts to update your records to give you the credit, but I just want to know if you did it so that I can plan around it, right? Even if you haven't completed it yet. And as he said, the same thing with the AP exams, right? Some AP exam scores are already in your file. Some of them will be coming from College Board. If you didn't put St. Mary's down on the College Board list, you'll have to send them yourself. But please just let us know what you're taking, even if you don't know the scores yet or you haven't taken the exam yet. Further, if you click yes on that you've taken any AP exams, the whole drop-down menu will come up of all of the exams you could possibly have taken, and you can just check all the ones that you've taken so that we know for sure. Okay. So that's previous coursework. when you're coming in, even if you haven't done coursework, there's some placement tasks, we'll call them, for your summer to-do list. The first one is composition. So all of our students take English 4-5 sequence, the composition, and the research and writing sequence. And we use a system called directed self-placement, which means that you go through and answer some questions and determine for yourself if you want to take English 4 or if you want to take English 4C. They count the same, they take the same amount of time, they fulfill the same requirements. They just sort of meet students kind of at the level that they feel like they're at, right? And some of that may be your confidence in writing, some of it may be how you feel about writing, how much writing you've already done in the past. So you really should pick whichever one feels right to you, and it won't have a logistical different impact on you, but the directed self-placement process will help to guide you to making that right choice for yourself. Sometimes students have already taken something that is akin to English 4, and so that's why we have these checkboxes that you may have taken an AP course that covered that material. You may be able to demonstrate proficiency right through your SATs or ACTs or an IB course or whatever it is. So if you have that extra information, please check those boxes as well. There's some students who go right into English 5. The vast majority of the students take English 4 or 4C in the fall. The other placement that we have is language. So at St. Mary's, we have a proficiency requirement. So that means that you don't take a certain number of courses, but that when you get a St. Mary's college degree, part of what that attests to is that you have learned a foreign language in a way that you can converse at a level 3 college proficiency level. And so some students come in and they've already mastered this level because they took a language in high school or they're bilingual or whatever it may be. Some students may have never studied a language. And so it's just to tell us, right, like where you're at and what your needs are. If you've never taken a language, if you've taken some and you want to do a placement test to kind of find out where you should start at, or you've already satisfied it, right? When you click on these choices, it will give you a new menu with more choices about, right, like what language you studied or would like to study. If you're thinking of advancing your proficiency, if you want to still keep taking classes, even though you've met the requirement. So please answer those questions to the best of your ability. And if you require a placement test, somebody will connect with you and help you to navigate that experience. Or if you have a language proficiency that's not in your transcripts, right, because you've been bilingual your whole life or something like that, there's also a consultation that happens to update your records on that as well. All right. And then if we go down to the performing arts and integral, so we have, sometimes there's like special scheduling needs. And two of the programs that have this are performing arts and integrals. So performing arts is dance, music, and theater. So if you have a PERFA scholarship, if you want to minor or major in a performing arts, if you just want to be able to participate in some of the performances or the ensembles, please check these boxes so that we can sort of pay special attention to working around potential rehearsal schedules, auditions, things like that. Sometimes your schedule looks a little bit different with PERFA courses because you have a lot of different skills and courses that you need to take. They're not all the same. For example, whether you play the flute or whether you play the piano, right? Like you're going to have to take different classes. So it takes a little bit more attention there. And then the other one is the Integral program. And Integral is one of our signature programs. It's an integrated liberal arts program. So rather than doing the core curriculum where you have kind of the breadth of choices, that you put together. This is a cohort. The cohort takes integrated liberal arts classes all together. And this serves as both your major and your sort of general education requirements. I really encourage you to watch the video that's linked here and read the descriptions and really think about if that's something that appeals to you. It's maybe something you haven't ever thought about before. But just, give it some thought and see if that's something that might be a good fit for you. And, if it is, right, like check yes. If you're not sure, check maybe, and we'll get you some more information and connect you with the professors and things like that. And so this is, again, one of those examples of something that you might never have heard of, but is a perfect fit for you. Right? So I just encourage everyone to take some time with an open mind to really explore and think about all of the options that are available to you. All right. And then I think we're getting right to the end. Just if you have any other scheduling issues, please just describe them here, right? If you are on an athletic team and you don't know what the practice schedule is, that's fine. Just say, right, like I'm on the soccer team and we can look up what the practice schedule is, right? If you have family obligations, a job, whatever it is, we'll do our best to accommodate it. We can't all the time, but we'll work with you to sort of figure out what we can do. But just the more information you give us on any of these questions, right, the easier it is for us to help you. And then the last two are just really kind of open-ended questions because, right, like we know that we'll forget to ask you some things that you want us to know. And so again, right, if there's anything in particular, like, please let us know. If some of this is still unclear and you have questions, you can totally email tao@stmarys.ca.edu, TAO, and we can get that information to you. Yeah, so that is the PEQ. As you can see, you probably want to set aside a little bit of time to do that and really think about it. But otherwise, I'm just going to open it up for questions. It looks like there's quite a few there.
So Leah, what I'll do, I'll read some of the ones off. I answered a good portion of them. I was actually surprised I was able to do all the multitasking, but I will read some of the ones that didn't get answered. And I also wanted to let folks know if you did come in late, we are recording this session, so we'll be able to be accessed if you missed anything at the beginning. Aaliyah will take great care of all of you. You've got a lot of resources here. I know it's overwhelming, to start off like this, but we will take care of you. So someone had a question asking, what's the difference between a split major and a minor?
Good question. So all students have a major, and that's what your degree is in. So a split major is all of the intro courses, and then usually, so every major has kind of a different number of courses, but it's like 60% of one major's upper division courses and like 40% of the other major's upper division courses. And you get to pick which courses those are in consultation with a faculty mentor. A minor is about 6 courses total. Some of them are bigger because they have a lot of prereqs like business or the sciences, but they're much more flexible. They tend to be things that you can overlap with the core curriculum, and they have to be added on to a major. So you can't just have a minor, but you could just have a split major.
Great, thank you. And what I'll do is, again, I'll keep addressing the ones that show up in the chat, and then as I get through those, we'll also, if you want to ask them verbally, you can do that as well. So Alejandro had a question. Is it possible to double major in psychology and choosing 2 concentrations, for example, or minoring in another psych concentration?
So you can't major and minor in the same department. So you would have to pick one of those. The reason is that if you have a major in psychology, you've already completed a minor, right? So it's not really adding anything. If you want to add Other concentrations, you could take that coursework, but I think only one of them shows up on your academic evaluation. The academic evaluation is sort of our official record of the program you're working on, and it helps you keep track of what courses you've done and what courses you need to do.
Okay, I think I've answered a good portion. Hold on, let me scroll down and see. Got that one.
Pretty good.
So Audrey asked a question. Does St. Mary's have a 4-year plan scheduled for bio majors on a pre-med track?
All right, so students who come in on a pre-med track tend to take calculus first. And once you're at the level of math 13 or math 27, those are sort of 2 levels of calculus, then you can take chemistry. So some students on a pre-med track will take calculus to start and then some core, and some will take calculus and chemistry. So that's pretty much the standard schedule of pre-med majors. Get sort of 1 core elective usually, sometimes 2, but it's fairly standardized otherwise.
Let's see. That's it for the, I'm entering one here right here in the chat. That's it in terms of the chat questions, but we want to leave some time if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question or your video, feel free to do so, but we've got more time if you have some questions that Aaliyah can answer for you.
Yeah, so I'm seeing a few here about student disability services. So
yeah,
bring that up for you.
great. Yeah, I was just answering that one.
Oh, okay. You have the link, so I'll let
No,
you.
actually, if you're, I was typing it in. If you're closer to get the having the link.
So we have a really wonderful disability services office. They're so student-centered and just really helpful in using technology and personalized support and plans. Colleague Julie Scaff is the director there. So this is a link to their accommodation request form, but I would also encourage you to just browse around their program site so that you kind of get a sense of the accommodations that our students do have access to, and get a sense of the people who work in that office, which are really the greatest resource, I think, is just the personalized attention and knowing that you have people who are just always there to sort of support you semester after semester.
Yeah, and I might add on that documentation is key. So if you're going to provide any of the documentation to Julie and her staff, be sure to get it to that office. Don't send it to admissions, because we don't have the professional capability to assess for that. So I always tell students, send that, connect with Julie and her staff and provide the documentation. And that's what opens the door for the resources.
Yeah, and you can reach out to her like right now if you want, right? You don't have to wait until the fall. So the question about AP exams, yes, check the boxes, even if you haven't taken it yet, if you plan to take it before you start at St. Mary's. So if you're still taking it this spring or this summer.
Yes, and I remember when Aaliyah was talking about that earlier, keyed into me, I said, yes, check it, but you still need us to send the test scores for us to add it and it be official on your record. Other questions?
You're also welcome to ask questions out loud.
I had a question. So I know one of the things in the PEQ you asked us to tell you about is if we were planning on having a job. And I also remember hearing something about there being a possible work study where we can work on campus. where would we go to talk about that or ask about that, I should say?
So that's a great opportunity, I think, to work on campus, not just because it's a way of making money conveniently, but because you get to learn so much about things happening on campus and you get to connect with people who know a lot about this place. Work study is part of your financial aid package, I believe. And so that's something that you would talk about your work study eligibility with your financial aid counselor. And then we have this system called Handshake on campus. And when you get all set up, they'll talk about this at orientation and stuff. You can log into Handshake and you can see the jobs posted and then apply for them if you're interested.
Thank you.
Sorry, the chat's moving quickly.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess since they are moving quickly too, I will verbally do one or answer ones that I can take. So I'll do the one, Alina, asking if you took a summer program course at a community college, it only gave 1 unit.
Okay.
Is it
So I
worth
see there's.
Oh.
Yeah, no, you're going to answer that one.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's worth it. I tell every student's credit is credit is credit, right? So I would send it because that's credit that goes toward the overall graduation units that you need to graduate from St. Mary's. And if there's a time where, for example, you needed to withdraw from a class, having some of that credit is helpful and useful.
I tell you a secret too. You register for classes in the order of the number of credits you have. And so if you think of first year students starting with 0 credits, 1 credit is more than 0 credits. So it kind of moves you up in the line to register. So I agree with Craig, right? If you have credit, every little bit counts.
Can you please explain the foreign language requirement? So for example, if you took 2 years of sign language in high school, does that cover the the foreign language or the requirement, or do you have to take an assessment no matter what?
Right, so it's a level 3 requirement. So you need at least 3 years of a language. American Sign Language counts, although we don't teach it at St. Mary's, but you can complete that at a community college or in an online course. So level 3 proficiency in high school is met by taking 3 or more years of the same language, right? So to level 3, like Spanish 3, French 3, whatever it is. And you have to get at least a B in those classes, right? To show that you didn't just sit in the classroom, right? But that you became proficient at that level. So we have a team that gets that information from your high school transcripts. And so if you've met that requirement, that will be shown on your academic eval. Not this summer, but it sort of gets updated probably by September, October. And then it'll just be marked complete. If your language proficiency isn't complete, then you'll be referred to placement if you have taken some language coursework, but didn't meet the proficiency requirements. You don't have to start over. You can just sort of finish or pick up where you left off. And then if you do take the test and score highly, then there's a follow-up proficiency test that you might pass out of the requirements, even if you haven't taken that number of coursework.
And I'll just reiterate on this specific to the foreign language requirement, not the admissions requirement, it's a graduation requirement. So in the case of, as Aaliyah said, we don't teach sign language here. So that can be done in a community college, whether that's done concurrently while you're taking your courses at St. Mary's, whether you do it your first semester, your summer, second summer, third summer. So there's no timeline that you have to have that done, but you want to be mindful so it fits into your academic plan and doesn't impede you from graduating down the line.
Yeah, usually if students have started a language, we try to place them in that language because we know that, right, continuity will make your language learning stronger. If you put it off and then you haven't done it for 3 years, it's a lot harder to jump back into than if you're doing it right now and you just pick it up in the fall. One question that I saw here kind of related to that, but is actually a good question more broadly, is that to attain a St. Mary's degree, you need 36 course credits, right? So if you have done things already, like met the language proficiency requirement, you don't have to take more language courses, but you still need 36 course credits, right? So that opens you up to have more flexibility, perhaps to do other things, but it doesn't mean that you have 3 fewer classes to take, as you still have to meet that numeric credit amount. And that will just vary from student to student. Some majors are 12 credits and some majors are 18 credits, right? So that means that some people will have 6 more courses to do for their major than some other students. Oftentimes students who have lower credit majors tend to pick up minors or double majors or do other kinds of things. Some students just really embrace the sort of liberal arts experience of just wanting to learn about all kinds of things, even if they don't add up together, right? And they just kind of take courses from all over. And that's totally fine too, right? In the end, your college experience is your college experience, and you'll have a degree, but all of those pathways lead to the same diploma, right? So it's really about doing what's meaningful to you.
Looks like I've got about 2 or 3 other questions, and then I want to make sure we have enough time at the end too. Someone asked if one is bilingual, what box do they check on the PEQ to indicate that?
So if you're bilingual, check the one that says, I believe I've met the proficiency requirement, and a new box will pop up asking you to explain, and then you should say, I'm bilingual in, and you can put down what the languages are. So there's kind of an open-ended box there, because we know students have a whole range of experiences that we cannot create enough checkboxes for. So it's easier if you just explain it to us directly.
And Alea's about to answer this question, but I think probably better spoken verbally. So Ariana had asked if we took an AP language class for 2 years in the same language, does that count towards a requirement? And I would say it collects it. We see it on your transcript, and so it's part of that assessment, but it's still up to level 3, right? So what would probably negate that is if you took the AP test in that language and scored a 3 or higher, then that would that could place you out.
Yes, exactly. So it looks like there's a question about meeting with a counselor. So we don't have advising counselors, or all first-year students are paired with a first-year faculty advisor or professor. And so at orientation, you'll have an opportunity to talk with members of my team who are also professors, but they might not be your particularly assigned professor. So they can answer questions about your schedule and anything else that you have at orientation. But you'll meet your personal first-year advisor at the weekend of welcome. We call it FIAC Friday. It's August 27th this year. And so that will be your first meeting of your first-year advising cohort group with your advisor. Your advisor will have seen your schedule. They'll see your PEQ, right? So they'll be up to speed by the time they meet you. And then we'll be able to go over your schedule again with you, answer any questions, make any changes. Most of them send out kind of a welcome email at the beginning of August when they get their roster and reach out and connect with you so that they can answer questions proactively during the month of August. And that will be your go-to faculty advisor for your whole first year. And you'll meet with them as a group weekly in the fall, and then less often in the spring. And that allows them to make sure that everybody gets information in a timely manner. Because when you come to orientation, You're going to get so much information thrown at you. It's super overwhelming. And by August, you'll have forgotten most of it, right? So that person is there to be your guide and to just sort of remind you of those things when it's relevant, to answer any questions you have, introduce you to other people that you should meet, introduce you to the people who help you make decisions about majors and minors and all of that kind of stuff. They'll help you to register yourself for classes in the spring, for the spring semester. They'll help you explore Jan terms and pick the right Jan term class, all of that, right? They're sort of your go-to person starting in August. And my team will just be helping you through the summer.
Okay. It looks like that might be the questions. So what I will do is I will, not formally in the session yet, but I'm going to ask the trivia question for a chance to win some swag, which is inclusive of a St. Mary's shirt, amongst some other things, which will be sent out to you. And then close this out. And again, a reminder that this has been recorded. So if you came in late or there's something you missed, you'll be able to access this. So, okay, so the question is, and what you can do is type it into the chat, and I'll go with the first person who gets it in the chat gets the question. So students are always welcome to study abroad during the fall and spring semesters at St. Mary's. But at St. Mary's, they offer another special time during the year to travel and explore. What is the name of that term? Looks like the first one was Cameron Ferrucci, or Cameron Fong. I said that correctly. Congratulations, Cameron. Everyone should give him a little bit of a round of applause for getting that. Yes, it is January term, an opportunity to study for several weeks in a different country outside of the normal study abroad options that we have. So Cameron, thank you. We will make sure that we get some swag items out to you. We've got 5 minutes in case there's another set of questions. And if not, again, welcome to St. Mary's. We're glad you guys attended. This was a great attendance tonight. Had upwards of 78 students attend. Aaliyah, thank you for taking the time to explain this very important process as part of the onboarding process of our new students. And we look forward to seeing all of you in the fall. Go Gales.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Danielle, are there any other questions you might have? All right. Well, I think that will do it. Aaliyah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you,
All right.
Greg.
We'll talk again soon. Take care.